Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Etara. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to the entire world. And such a pleasure to be here once again. And this is the Good Morning Education Show. Please do let us know where you're streaming from. Let us know where you're streaming from, and let's know your name, where you're streaming from, and let's see how we can connect together, learn together, and share together. So, on the Good Morning Education Show, we love to um, talk about news within and around the world of education, share our thoughts and experience and exposure on subject matter, and it's always a great time on the Good Morning Education Show. And yes, and if you're streaming with us, please contact us. Tell us your name and your location. All right, welcome to the Good Morning Education Show, and I will be unveiling my face very shortly, and we'll be having our analysts as well on the show. So, once again, and right about now, I think we'll be taking the headlines and then we'll be having conversations on the show as well. Expecting our analysts to join us this morning as usual, and we're going to be talking about so many things. On the show yesterday, we had the opportunity to tackle the issue around native content, and today we're taking a step further on the conversation as well. So thank you for joining and welcome to the show. So our very first headline is Undo student elect first female president. And this is important for most people because this is the first time they're having that, and I think it's due for us to say congratulations to the student that came out as president. And we have a lot of news within the tertiary institution space. We also have Unilori also in the news. And this time around, Unilori is not in the news as reason of convocation. And it says Unilori opts for hybrid convocation ceremonies. You're all familiar with the protocols of COVID, and that also has necessitated the upgrade, or better still, the, the transformation and revamp in conducting ceremonies, especially events that tend to gravitate towards a lot of people, you know. So that is one reality that we need to live with. And with time, I believe that that will be sorted out and everyone will be able to get the best of it. So, congratulations to those who are convocating, and we wish them all the best for their endeavors as they start out in this space. So, well done, Unilori, and well done to the graduates. So, we move on to the next headline, and that talks about ASU. ASU is in the news once again. This time around, ASU is hailing the federal government over stipends for education students. It's fun. It's funny that whenever you see the name ASU, you tend to brace up for possibilities of conversation around strikes, around protests, around down tooling and the likes. This time around, ASU has proved that body that is sensitive is a body that is forward looking, it's a body that also acknowledges the value placed within the education space. And this is uh, we came up. So I hope that we post as well. Thank you very much. So, and then we'll move to uh, third deadline test on protest over death of final year student. This is a sad one. I'm sure you remember that we had this last week as a news item, and right now the university is responding that there's a need for them to wait for the result on protest over death of the final year students in Old, and we'll be able to put this matter to rest. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining. And we'll be talking today on the show about something I believe that it's long coming. Um, then it's just almost like putting in perspective for all the conversations we've had for some time now. And one can only, start by saying that our best bet should be what we should be looking at. What exactly is our best bet yet? As a people, as a sector, as pretty much society, what exactly constitutes our best bet? And I know that when you're looking at that word best, of course, so many things come to mind. But one of the things that I believe that we should look at, is the fact that we need to even practice what we call self-interest. I think we need to ask ourselves who actually and who really is education serving, whose interest, whose development, whose economy. Because when we're able to answer that, that's when we begin to understand um, why we need to put in our best bet here. Because your best in the wrong direction is not totally called your best. It's pretty much something that is delaying, or better still, something that is denying you certain expectations, certain outcomes. And I believe that needs to be worked on. So on the show this morning, I will be taking that, and I hope as we get joined by our analysts, we will also be keen to factor that possibility and get to understand how this works. So let's go. Oh, now we're talking about our best bet. I said in the first place, our best. What does it serve? Who does it serve? Looking at that sector, um, I feel and I feel like it's a bit of a concern when we look at the course of action and the things that we do. I think that we have an issue with a desired end. I don't think um, I don't think that we are there in terms of advancing our cause to the point of having a desired end. And that's why we need to be able to talk about that today. Hello, Gucci. Good morning. Thank you for joining.
Good morning, Mr. Timmy. So good to hear your voice. Good morning to all our amazing listeners. Hope my voice doesn't sound weird. It sounds weird to me.
It's their broad voice. Uh, all right, good to have you here. That's spicing up our Monday, actually. Okay, so we're talking about our best bet, and I was trying to create an introduction to that. When we mention our best bet, or when we look at it, we need to ask ourselves, especially for the world of education, who does this best serve? Whose interest, whose development, whose economy does it really serve? Because best in the wrong direction, best without the right rewards can actually be questioned. Is it really best? And of course, we know that when we say our best bet, we're looking at it from the angle of leverage and advantage. It's a point of vantage, and the sector is really, really in need of this reality. How do we get to be able to point out this factor? Talking about our best bet. So I'd like to hear from you. Your thoughts, your overview on this. Are we at our best? What's our best bet? What's the cost of surest action? Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much for this question. So I don't think we're at our best. I think that whatever level we are, it's always important to always want to go the extra mile to move to the next thing and to just, always strive to be better as opposed to resting on our laurels. So I don't think we're at our best as a whole. Because many times when people think of best, they might begin to think of maybe certain schools, how certain schools are performing, and those ones are performing well. But the truth is, we cannot use a few to judge the entire thing. When we're talking about the sector as a whole, it shouldn't be that some are doing well and the others are not doing well, that there's that disparity. It should be that, okay, on the average, everybody is doing well at the minimum. So we're not at our best yet. There's a potential to do more. And one of the things that can help with that is always going the extra mile, looking for innovative methods of doing what we're doing well, not holding on to how things have always been in the past, always seeking new ways to still produce better results in our education system. So yes, for me, that will be the parts that we can take that can help our current situation. So being innovative, looking out for best practices, trying to implement them to suit our own unique context. I don't believe in doing total copy and paste. I believe that we should always, when we see good practice anywhere, we should try to integrate them to suit our own system. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned something about average, and I really want to ask, at least, is there a possibility that we can even have a unified front to be able to even articulate what should generally be across the board, regardless of the location and probably regardless of the situation in the sector? Is that a possibility? And if yes, tell us how.
Okay, so yes, it's possible to actually have a unified framework. And how can that happen? That can happen when it is set from the top and then implementation is enforced and monitored. So, for example, we can say, okay, let me even use the example of the curriculum. The kinds of topics that we teach throughout, let's say, for example, in maths in primary three, for example, first term primary three, it's almost the same across the entire country, at least to a very large extent. There is a common syllabus, there's a common way that these things are taught. Now, imagine if it is more enforced, in the sense that monitoring happens and we can tell that this thing is not just, there's no disconnect between um the plan and the implementation, because I think that's actually where problem normally happens, where the policies have been made, structures have been put in place, procedures are there, but then execution at the grassroots across all spheres is now missing. So if we're able to have those protocols, those plans in place across the different areas, right? The whole journey, the whole thing, not just only the academics of the children, even teacher management, if we're able to have the plans put in place and synchronized, and then it is cascaded down and implementation it's at least at the same level across board, and then compliance is being monitored to a really large extent, we can have the basics the same across all areas. The only difference would now be, okay, maybe the way each school, should I say, maybe decides to go above board. It's just like how you say you set a minimum standard, right? And people cannot go below the standard, but they can go above. So that will be the kind of thing that will be happening, where people would now always maintain minimum standard, and then those with means are able to go above, as opposed to some people being too down, and then some people being in the middle, and then some people far off. So yes, I know that we have a lot of things that are available and in place in the country, but I think where the disconnect is between implementation and then, of course, monitoring of what's being implemented. Back to you, sir.
Thank you very much for that. And it's important that we also stress this fact that um, the way we look at things, I know that there are many things that we need to bundle up. So let's address one of the very big concerns and problems um, within the space, which is the issue of um, teacher shortage or teacher supply. We know that it's a continuous worry, especially if we're trying to also push for common development and a unified front. The drivers of this development and learning becomes a critical tool. And I'm sure you've probably heard about the president's remark on the stipend that will be given to those who are undergraduate in education. Um, that in itself, right, is also coming on the heels of what we're talking about. So, how do we get to address this? What's our best bet when it comes to teacher shortage and teacher supply? Over to you.
I think we have to make it attractive for people to want to come into the teaching profession. What we see that obtains here is people come into the teaching profession maybe when they've tried to get other jobs and it did not work out. There are very few people who came into the teaching profession because this is what they love to do. This is what they went to school to do. This is what inspires them. This is what they want to do, building the next generation. There are very few people like that. Now, if other people who that is not their first choice are coming in for a variety of reasons, how can you ensure that they come, even if they come in with the wrong mindset, you are able to fine tune them, you're able to, should I say, do that mindset, that mind reset, basically, so that they can focus and do what you need them to do? Because I mean, these are the people that are going to be in class with our future, with our future generation. So how can that happen? So we have to make the teaching profession beautiful. We have to make it attractive. We have to make it look like something that people look forward to. So there's a lot of, I'm happy with some of what our amazing teachers are doing now, teacher branding, showing that you can be a teacher and you can be glam, you can be fab, you can be super. You don't have to look, there is this stereotype of how a Nigerian teacher looks. And that's why some students do not even want to be teachers, because when they see that stereotype, they don't feel motivated. I mean, they are watching the media, social media and traditional media, and they're seeing how the celebrities look. and how those ones show up. And then they see their teacher and they're thinking, okay, this does not inspire. This is not how I want to look in future. I would rather prefer to look the other way. So there's a lot of mind reset that needs to happen when people come in. So it begins from our teacher, our colleges, when they are going for training and all that. And then when they come into the profession, because again, some people would not go through teacher training college, they would land in the classroom for a variety of reasons. How they are indoctrinated from that time, they have their induction training before they step into the first class, and then the series of programs that they have to go through on that journey of being teachers, the personal development plan. All those things have a factor to play. So it's not just a one-off thing. You cannot just do, oh, we've done induction and that's it. No. What is the plan? How do you ensure that maybe over a period, they're having access to quality information, quality training that is shaping their mind, giving them best practices, equipping them with the tools so that our children are better. So I think that when it is attractive, when people see that it is not it has reputation, a great reputation, it's not a thankless job. It can boost people's enthusiasm, because the truth is there are those who would love to teach, but because they see how it looks and they feel that they'll probably not be remunerated well, they would go elsewhere. And so when it is repackaged, it would encourage them to come. In other parts of the world, I keep hearing how teachers are one of the best paid and all that, but it's almost like the reverse in some schools in our parts of the world. So I think that rebranding has to happen.
Thank you so much. And while you were speaking, Olushola Olumide joined us. Olushola Olumide, good morning.
Good morning, Rotimi. Good morning, Ugochi. It's been a time. It's been a while, rather. Good morning to our tribe members. Thank you.
Okay, so for piggyback on the conversation now, Ugochi mentioned something about the pay for teachers. Is it possible that, of course, I know it's not in our position to execute, but is it not possible for subsidization, or how would you call it, an intervention for educators, especially teachers, subsidized by the government, so that we know sometimes teacher pay is not just subject to will, it's also subject to capacity. And the situation where we know that education becomes like a gold mine and a must, can that be a factor that the government or regulators can consider? Let me start with Olushola, then I'll come back to Gochi. Olushola, over to you.
Yes, thank you. I think my answer will be yes. It's something they can consider. You discover that they've done this in some other sector. Take, for example, you want people to produce a particular thing, you give them encouragement by giving them tax leave. Oh, if you start this particular business, for the first 7 years, for the first 10 years, you are not going to pay tax. So it helps a lot of people to come into that space, and before you know it, that industry is set up. A lot of activity begins to go on, because an average person that wants to do business is thinking about profit. And if you realize that, okay, I can do this particular business and nobody is coming after me to come and pay tax for the first 5 years, I think let me go into it. And as they begin, other value chain shows up, then different people begin to key into it, because that sector, that area of our economy want to be developed. And before you know it, it gives that sector a boost. So I feel it can be done. There could be a pay rise. Of course, why that may not be a generic thing for everybody, because we can also not underplay your capacity, your proficiency, the expertise and experience you are bringing to the table. we have to also consider that, of course, we wouldn't say because we want teachers to be better, every Tom, Dick, and Harry just come in and we pay them. Whether you can get the work done or you cannot get the work done, we'll keep paying you. No, that is going to be counterproductive. We are going to encourage ineptitude, laziness, carelessness, which is not going to bring any good thing for the sector. As we want teachers' pay to be increased, we must also demand that teacher becomes more productive. Trying to help the education space should not just be a one way, it should be a two-edged sword. We will increase your pay, but that will be predicated on certain things. There are great teachers who are doing great things. If we put them side by side with teachers who are not doing anything, they are going to be demotivated. Yes, there is salary structure, there is salary scale. I don't have any problem with such. But if you are delivering 9/10 and myself delivering 3/10 are being paid the same salary, you are not going to be happy. So increase in pay should be tied to productivity. Yes, we are ready to increase it as much as possible, but it had to be tied to what you bring to the table. So there must be a sort of rubric where the productivity is being measured. It's either we get feedback from students. Oh, how is Mr. So-and-so doing? How is Mrs. So-and-so doing? They will give us their sincere feedback. There should be a measure in place that we be able to monitor what we are doing. Yes, teacher can earn as much as they wish to earn. At the same time, they must be on top of their game. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we would like to welcome Titi to the studios. Titi, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Lushola. Sexy chick.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning.
Good morning, ma.
We should say Happy New Year to you. Good morning.
Yes, so good to see Seti Chikara today. Oh.
And it's like our best episode yet. Just like the best bet yet. Okay, so still at the matter. Do you want to join into what Lushola just mentioned?
Okay, so there's something that people normally say that when you look at someone's personal budget for the month, you can tell the things that they value. So if, for example, you check and you see that they spend a lot on data, airtime, then it means that's what they value. They spend a lot on maybe courses for personal development, it means that's what they value. So it's the same here now. So we're talking about this, if is it possible for the funds of teachers to be supported by government and all that. And Solushola has already, given some examples of how maybe tax breaks can help. I would say that it's possible because if we increase the budget, the amount targeted at education in this country, a lot can be changed. But the thing is, if you look at our budget, every time the amount slated for education is not really comparable, to other things, and it's not good enough. So if that is what we have on ground, then it's going to be tough to have access to more resources that can help the people who do not have capacity to pay the kind of salaries that we would want them to pay their teachers. And if we really want them to pay our teachers those amounts of money, then I believe that they should be supported, like using the examples that Mr. Olushola mentioned. So one of the things that can actually help our education sector is for our government to begin to see the importance of raising that amount allocated to education. There's always this example that is given of in one of our neighboring countries that moved over the years steadily. They kept on increasing the amount that is allocated to education. And today there is a difference in their country. And in our own case, it almost seemed like it went in the other direction or it stayed static. So it's really important that that kind of change also happens for us. So yes, it is possible, but now it's a matter of, is it going to be done? So yes, it's possible. Back to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's good that it is here, because we know that also there's been that recent call for digitizing education, a lot of technical education, a lot of education technology clamor. What's our best bet and what's our best bet yet, Titi, when it comes to education technology or technology in education?
Okay, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but what technology allows is when you can bring the best of the best and then make it available to everyone. So when you look at what happens on various social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, Snapchat, it's just people creating content, and then you can see the best of the best, and then select whichever one you want to. And so for me, it's to say, when we look at education, what are the things that we need, and how can we use technology for each? It's not just for the teaching, but for content, curriculum, even for school management system.
Network has taken her out.
That's education technology, a practical protesting.
Yeah.
So, Olushala, do you want to help out in that?
Yes. COVID has taught us a great lesson that we need to digitize. There's need for a sort of blended approach to learning. While some could be physical, then the other are to be virtual. That being said, I think the issue of infrastructure becomes a key. Access to the devices, access to data matters a lot. In some climb, except for the fear of keying to a Wi-Fi, you don't know the source that may later affect you. Maybe people hack your system or whatever. You almost have access to data everywhere. You're in the train station, you're in the school, those things are there. But in this part, when we need to go online, I had a program yesterday night. We had one on Saturday via WhatsApp, and the turnout was high. But we needed to do Zoom yesterday. Maybe highest we had was 20. And going back to the WhatsApp platform, you could see people say that I couldn't join, I don't have data. They want to, but the data is not there. Or maybe they don't even have access, not buoyant enough to buy data. Until some of these things are so liberalized, and it's like the water, pure water, we see everywhere. It may be difficult. For the eyebrow schools, the Ivy Leagues, fine. They will be able to do it at the tips of their finger. They are getting it. However, those are in the minority. If you go by the population of this country, number of schools we have in this country, and look at the state of the economy, bringing some things on board is like giving people an impossible task. Meanwhile, these are supposed to be the normal thing that we have access to. So we have to digitize. We can't shun that. We can't run away from that. The reality is here with us. But majority of the practitioners educators are to be helped and enabled. Safety Chick made mention of the issue of budget. Over the years, it has been hovering around 7%. The other time, it even dropped. So when you look at some of these things, it's one thing leads to the other. If the infrastructure is not there, the school may not have the wherewithal to put it in place. So we must digitize. However, we need to be enabled so that we can key into some of these things and we can have it as easy as possible. That is what I want to say.
Would you believe I was talking non-stop, only for me to realize that I've been talking like for like 5 minutes.
Internet protested.
Oh my goodness. I've been talking for like 5 minutes, and I'm using my phone. So I just said to look down. So why is it showing this page now? This is not. Oh my goodness. Which part did you hear last before I?
Just start all over again. You didn't want to sound like a broken record.
Yes, start all over. Yes.
From that part. Yeah. Oh my goodness. When I was then, I said, okay, I don't want to sound like a broken record. But there are a lot of things that we can gain from leveraging on technology. So I gave the instance of attending school. Our teachers had to mark our attendance. They had to call out our names and say, present, ma, present, Sam. But these days, you can use biometrics. As a child is coming into school, they can just thumbprint. I mean, schools are doing it for their teachers as well. So that the process of checking attendance becomes simplified. You can also automate the system whereby it compares it with the database, and anybody that's not there automatically sends their parents an email. Those are some of the things that technology. So once we are taking all those data, then we now know that, okay, you know what, attendance last year really fell. It's not hearsay. It's not that people are manipulating the figures. It's that, all that thing is being put in a database. We can really say how many people are really attending school. We can do their breakdown. We can analyze their absenteeism. There's so much more things that they can do. That is just talking a bit about the administrative part. You can send out report cards. I was talking about taking exams, for instance. In those days, we had to buy go to do common entrance and buy a lot of things for past. I remember when you were reading for JAMB, all the past question papers, you go and be looking for left, right, and center. But nowadays, people have put those things online. You can go and practice the past question papers online, and it will help you mark it and tell you how you're doing. It can even give you ideas in terms of, correcting it. In terms of lesson plans, schools, the quality divide can be narrowed when you get the best of the best to come up with lesson plans. And those lesson plans are then made available for everyone online. So it means that a school that doesn't have the best of teachers can follow a script, and the children will still do better than, if they didn't have those things, because they're leveraging on quality lesson plans. Just even taking for the students as well, the amount of money being spent on textbooks is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And that's just when you're not even buying all the textbooks. So imagine if you can save some of that, and those textbooks are then available and digital. So it means that you can go to a school, once they don't have that, they don't have to keep buying textbook over and over again for the students can go online, check the textbook. Those that, even the schools that you thought you didn't have money for, they can have access to those textbooks. All that is being, helped by EdTech. So another good thing about is the same thing, even in terms of doing exams. I said, look, WAEC just finished. Under normal circumstances, when you go and do a lot of these exams, SAT, before you even finish the exam, you will know your results. Because as long as those things are OBJ, simple filling the blank and all that, as you're finishing the exam, you should be able to tell, no, I don't know how long we're going to wait for WAEC or JAMB or any of those things. So those things should be, just make life easier, and then immediately sends you your report. These are things that we leveraging on technology we can do. You can learn from anybody, get the best of the best. Let them, sit down, do videos, do whatever, and then those things are just put out there, available to anyone. It means that as a child, I can go and learn anything, because there's this open place that everybody can have access to. Even teacher development, not everybody can pay all this money that they're asking for, for this, for various courses. And I understand how much is their salary in the first place. But you know what? We can have a place where once the person has the heart and mind to learn, the things are there, short videos, short whatever, talks, this, free, whatever they can attend. And then we'll start upscaling like that, all leveraging on technology, where you've made the investment once and just continue to update the content. Those are just a few of the ways that we need to do this. In the country, we can bring people, get the best of the teachers in a particular place, and people from all over Nigeria, they can do that. But these things are being driven by two things. They must have access to those devices and the affordable data. So for me, my best bet as we look at, technology in the ed tech space in education is how can government help to increase access to devices, smart devices, and making data affordable, or better still, do you understand, make it zero rated. Select certain things and say, you know what, our agreement with these companies is for the next 2 years. We give them tax, whatever, for them to just provide this thing for the first 2 years, and then from there we then be taking it one step at a time. These are just some of the things that we need to do. We need to increase access. Look at what crowdfunding has done. Look, it just allows you to access more people than you did it. I was giving an example. I was saying that I remember the girl that was crying on social media, and she was crying because I think she couldn't pay school fees. Then people saw the video. The video went viral, and the next thing, people just reached out and helped. That would have been possible without technology, and we can see more and more of those things. Technology allows access to opportunities that you would never have had before. You would have never have had before. And it just makes a world of difference. I would end by saying, this is my long story. I will end by saying, I remember, earlier on in the year when we did our, STEM Fun Fest, I wanted someone to speak to the children that had already achieved. What did I do? I went online and I remember that, I saw this girl that won kid of the year. I said, technology is easy to access. I went to look for her Instagram account. I sent her an email and said, look, can you just come speak to these children all the way in Nigeria, Africa, and just encourage them in terms of what they can achieve. Behold, she said yes. And and when the kids listened to her and she told them their story, they were so inspired. They were so inspired and said, you know what, this girl is talking to us. She's like 14, we too. So would that ever have happened without technology? No. So some people can end up talking to people all over the world, and the children will be inspired by their mates in various countries. This thing is simply access. On this note, I rest before I go on for another 20 minutes. Rotimi, back to you.
It's as if Rotimi is back. Okay, go ahead.
Rotimi, back to you. I don't know if people are hearing all my long story.
Yes, we had you. Thank you.
Okay, Rotimi, back to you. Thank you. Is he there?
That's what I'm also. I think the internet also protested against him. He's just coming back. Okay. Rotimi, are you there? Okay. Hello, Rotimi. The internet has okay. Maybe we should listen to Safety Chick on this issue. Let's hear your thought, Ugochi.
Okay, so I totally agree with what Mrs. Adeusi has said. The fact that the internet makes connectivity really easy. There's so much that you can do from anywhere. Anyway, at least I think that's one of the advantages that COVID did for us, because yes, we're using the internet before, right? But COVID now made it possible that a lot can happen from halfway across the world. You can have classes, you can have meetings. I mean, I attended a wedding in Nigeria today. My dearly beloved friend that I would have loved to be there in person at her wedding, but I couldn't. But I joined the wedding and I'm happy I was part of her big day. Why? Courtesy technology. And there's just so much. There's just so much. And what's really important is to always, think ahead, begin to ask ourselves, how can we ensure that there is more access, to these things? How can we make it commonplace? It shouldn't be that technology that should make life better is not commonplace. I was looking at a friend of mine's phone some days ago and I saw 5G and I laughed. I said, the same 5G that is causing debates in Nigeria. Anyway, the things that should make our life easy, that would make education better for our children. It should be easily accessible. It shouldn't be such that it is so difficult, for it to to reach every child. And I don't like the case where it seems like, okay, some children in some schools have access to some things and then the other ones do not. It shouldn't be. Yes, so I'll just stop there.
Yes, Alpro Timi is back now.
Hello?
Yes, go on.
Okay, sorry, I'm in a noisy environment. I'm afraid who wants to disrupt our audience. But basically, all that we've said today really has opened our eyes to see that we need to adopt something that kind of paints a picture of what we all need to get to do. And I think it's a situation where we need to get to a point where we have an education without limitation. And once we're able to get that, everybody begins to interpret what that means to them. And I really think that that's the best place to start from. And I'd like to thank Titi for that brilliant submission and Olushola Alumide. I'd like to thank Safety Check for stopping by. And of course, thank Olabisi Afolabi for joining us. And to all our tribe members out there, thank you so much. And at this point, we'll be drawing the curtains on today's show. And we will be here tomorrow, same time. And we'll be having a great time as well. So until then, at the count of 3, let's have our parting greeting. 1, 2, 3.
It's always a great
morning.
Awesome morning
On the Good Morning Education Show. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a fantastic week